Have you ever wondered if coincidences are really just fate in disguise? What if I told you that a simple tattoo, an image etched in ink, could reconnect souls torn apart by tragedy and time? If you believe in second chances, this story might just restore your faith in the universe's grand design. Before we begin this incredible journey, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing stories that remind us of the magic hiding in everyday moments. Jason Miller stood in the cereal aisle of Wilson's grocery, staring blankly at the colorful boxes while his 6-year-old daughter Zoe tugged impatiently at his hand. The fluorescent lights highlighted the dark circles under his eyes, permanent fixtures since becoming a single father 3 years ago when his wife Eliza died in a car accident. The phoenix tattoo on his forearm, a matching one he'd gotten with Eliza on their honeymoon, seemed to mock him now. There had been no rising from the ashes for their family, only learning to live with the emptiness she left behind. "Daddy, can we get the one with the marshmallows? Please." Zoe's voice pulled him back to the present. Jason smiled down at his daughter, her dark curls and amber eyes so much like her mother's that it sometimes hurt to look at her. "Sure, sweetheart. Just this once." As Zoe reached for the cereal box, a small voice piped up from behind them. "My mom has the same tattoo as yours." Jason turned to find a little girl about Zoe's age pointing at his forearm. She had straight blonde hair pulled into neat pigtails and was clutching a stuffed rabbit. "Oh, really?" Jason replied politely, used to making small talk with children for Zoe's sake. Phoenix tattoos weren't uncommon. The little girl nodded solemnly. "Yep. She says it's because she came back to life, just like the bird." Something about her words made Jason's heart skip a beat. It was exactly what Eliza used to say about their matching tattoos, that they represented her recovery after a near-fatal childhood illness. That's nice," Jason managed, suddenly feeling lightheaded. "What's your name?" "Lily," the girl replied. "I'm 5 3/4. "I'm Zoe," his daughter chimed in. "I'm 6 1/2. "Do you want to see my light-up shoes?" As the girls began chatting, Jason scanned the aisle, looking for Lily's parent. His eyes landed on a woman at the end of the aisle, her back to him as she examined something on a shelf. There was something achingly familiar about the curve of her neck, the way she stood with her weight shifted slightly to one side. "Lily, honey, did you find the woman turned, her sentence cutting off abruptly as her eyes met Jason's. The box of cereal slipped from Jason's fingers and crashed to the floor, spilling rainbow marshmallows across the linoleum. The world seemed to tilt on its axis as he stared at the face he'd seen every night in his dreams for the past 3 years. Eliza. But it couldn't be Eliza. Eliza was dead. He'd identified her body. He'd buried her. He'd mourned her every single day since. Yet here she was, standing 10 feet away, looking as shocked as he felt. Her hair was shorter now, and there was a scar on her cheek that hadn't been there before, but it was undeniably her. "Jason?" Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried across the space between them like a thunderclap. "Daddy, you spilled the cereal," Zoe said, tugging at his hand, oblivious to the earth-shattering moment unfolding around her. The woman, Eliza, took a step forward, then stopped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my God. Zoe? Is that Zoe?" Zoe looked up at the sound of her name, confusion crossing her features as she studied the stranger who somehow knew her. "How do you know my name?" Zoe asked, suddenly shy. Before either adult could answer, Lily spoke up. "That's my mom. Her name is Claire." "Claire. Not Eliza." Jason's mind raced, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. A doppelganger? A cruel coincidence? But those eyes, he would know those eyes anywhere. "I think," Jason said carefully, his voice strained, "that we need to talk." 20 minutes later, they sat in a quiet corner of the coffee shop next to the grocery store. The girls were at a separate table nearby, coloring on paper placemats and sharing a chocolate chip cookie, already fast friends. "They told me you were dead," Jason said, his hands wrapped tightly around his coffee mug to hide their trembling. "There was a body. I identified you." The woman across from him, Claire, as she called herself now, stared down at her own untouched coffee. The phoenix tattoo on her forearm was exactly where Eliza's had been, every detail identical. I wasn't in the car, she said quietly. I was supposed to be, but I got out at the gas station to buy some aspirin. When I came back, I saw the truck hit our car. I saw the explosion. I tried to run toward it, but the force knocked me back. I hit my head on the pavement. Jason listened, numb with disbelief. But the body. When I woke up in the hospital, I had no memory of who I was, she continued. Nothing. Not my name, not you, not Zoe. Nothing. They called me a Jane Doe for weeks. The only clue to my identity was this tattoo. She touched the phoenix on her arm. But no one came looking for me. Because they told me you were dead, Jason repeated, his voice breaking. They said the body was badly burned, but that your dental records matched. That your wedding ring was found. Claire, Eliza, closed her eyes. I was wearing a different ring that day. A vintage one I'd bought at that antique store we liked. I'd taken off my wedding ring because my fingers were swollen from the heat. But your dental records. I don't know, Jason. I don't have answers for that. All I know is that I woke up with no memory, and the authorities eventually helped me create a new identity. Claire Bennett. They found me an apartment, helped me get a job. I've spent 3 years trying to rebuild a life I couldn't remember. Jason ran a hand through his hair, struggling to process what he was hearing. And Lily? A shadow crossed Claire's face. I was pregnant when the accident happened. I didn't know it then, neither of us did. When I found out in the hospital, it was like having one tiny piece of my past to hold on to, even if I couldn't remember it. Jason looked over at the little girl with blonde pigtails. His daughter. A daughter he never knew existed. How did you start remembering? He asked, turning back to Claire. It came back in pieces. Dreams at first, then flashes during the day. A song would play, and I'd suddenly remember dancing in our kitchen. I'd smell a certain perfume, and I'd see a Christmas morning we shared. But I never got the full picture, just fragments. I didn't even know my real name until about 6 months ago. And you didn't try to find us once you remembered? Claire's eyes filled with tears. I was afraid. Afraid you'd moved on. Afraid you'd be angry. Afraid my memories weren't even real. What if I showed up and you weren't who I remembered? What if Zoe didn't know me? What if I was wrong about everything? Jason felt a surge of anger, quickly followed by compassion. He couldn't imagine waking up with no memory, trying to piece together a life from fragments and dreams. So what changed? Why are you here now? Lily, Claire said simply. She started asking about her father. I told her I didn't know who he was, but she deserved better than that. I hired a private investigator last month. He found you living here, just 30 miles from us. I've been working up the courage to contact you. I never expected to run into you at the grocery store. Jason looked over at the girls again. Zoe was showing Lily how to make a paper airplane out of her placemat, their heads bent together in concentration. Sisters who had no idea they were sisters. I don't know what to do with this, Jason admitted. Part of me wants to be furious that I've missed 3 years of Lily's life. Part of me is terrified that this isn't real, that I'll wake up tomorrow and you'll be gone again. And part of me just wants to take you home and never let you out of my sight. Claire reached across the table, hesitating before gently placing her hand over his. The touch was electric, familiar yet new. I don't expect anything from you, Jason. I know this is impossible to process. I thought you deserved to know the truth. And Lily deserves to know her father and her sister. Jason turned his hand over, interlacing his fingers with hers. We need to take this slow. For the girl's sake. And we need answers about what really happened. But Claire, Eliza, whoever you are now. I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. The weeks that followed were a delicate dance of reintroduction and rediscovery. Jason and Claire agreed to tell the girls a simplified version of the truth, that Claire was Zoe's mother, but had been very sick and lost her memory, and that Lily was Zoe's sister. The girls, with the remarkable adaptability of children, accepted this new reality with far less difficulty than the adults. They began with supervised visits, afternoons at the park, movie nights, Sunday brunches, allowing the girls to bond while Jason and Claire navigated their own complicated emotions. Claire met with Jason's therapist, both separately and together, working through the trauma and confusion of their situation. Meanwhile, Jason hired a lawyer to investigate the misidentification of Eliza's body. The truth, when it finally emerged, was both mundane and tragic. Another woman had borrowed Eliza's car that day, a colleague who had needed to run an errand during lunch. The woman had been wearing Eliza's jacket, which contained her ID. In the chaos and confusion following the fiery crash, assumptions were made, and in the days before DNA testing was completed, Jason had identified what he believed to be his wife's body based on clothing and personal effects. By the time the error was discovered, Eliza, now known as Claire, had already been discharged from a different hospital with no memory and a new identity. The paperwork acknowledging the mistake had been filed but never properly followed up on, a clerical error with life-altering consequences. For months after their chance meeting in the grocery store, Claire and Lily moved into a small apartment just a few blocks from Jason and Zoe's house. It was close enough for the girls to attend the same school, but gave Claire the independence she needed as she continued to reconcile her two identities, the Eliza she had been and the Claire she had become. "Do you want me to call you Eliza now?" Jason asked one evening as they sat on his porch swing after the girls had gone to bed inside. Claire was quiet for a moment, watching the fireflies blink in the gathering dusk. "I don't know who Eliza is anymore," she admitted. "I have her memories, most of them, anyway, but I've been Claire for 3 years." Claire raised Lily. Claire survived on her own. Claire built a life from nothing. "You don't have to choose," Jason said softly. "You can be both. You can be whoever you need to be." Claire leaned her head against his shoulder, a gesture so familiar it made his heart ache. "What about us? Who are we to each other now?" Jason took her hand, running his thumb over the phoenix tattoo that had brought them back together. "We're whatever we want to be. We can start over, or we can pick up where we left off, or we can find something in between. There's no rulebook for this, Claire." "I'd like to date you," she said suddenly. "Properly date you. Not as the wife you lost, but as the person I am now. I want to fall in love with you again, Jason. And I want you to fall in love with me, not your memory of Eliza, but me." Jason smiled, lifting her hand to his lips. "I think I'd like that too." Their first official date was dinner at a restaurant neither of them had been to before, neutral territory. They talked for hours, rediscovering each other. Claire told Jason about her life as a single mother, about the community college classes she'd taken in graphic design, about the small freelance business she'd built. Jason shared stories of raising Zoe alone, of the support group for single parents that had saved his sanity, of the children's book he'd started writing as a way to process his grief. As the weeks turned into months, they created new rituals and traditions as a blended family. Sunday pancake breakfasts where each person got to choose their own toppings. Friday movie nights with homemade popcorn and blanket forts. Summer camping trips in the backyard, with flashlights and ghost stories and too many s'mores. There were challenges, of course. Zoe sometimes struggled with sharing her father's attention after having him to herself for so long. Lily had nightmares about being separated from her mother again. Claire still had gaps in her memory that would never be filled. Jason had moments of irrational fear that he would lose her a second time. But there were also moments of pure joy that made every difficulty worthwhile. The first time Zoe called Claire Mom without prompting. The day Lily asked Jason to teach her to ride a bike, just like he'd taught Zoe. The afternoon they spent planting a garden together, Claire and Jason working side by side while the girls chased butterflies around the yard. 1 year after their reunion, Jason took Claire back to the coffee shop where they'd had their first conversation. "I have something for you," he said, sliding a small box across the table. Claire opened it to find a delicate gold necklace with 2 pendants, a phoenix and a compass. "The phoenix is obvious," Jason said as he helped her fasten it around her neck. "It's who we've been. But the compass is who we're becoming, finding our way forward together, no matter how lost we might feel sometimes." Claire touched the pendants, tears shining in her eyes. "It's perfect." "There's something else," Jason said, taking a deep breath. "I'm not sure if this is too soon or too much, but I've been looking at houses. Bigger ones, with a yard for the girls and maybe a studio space for your design work. A place that could be ours, Not mine that you visit, not yours that I visit, but something new that belongs to all of us. Claire's eyes widened. Are you asking me to move in with you? I'm asking for more than that, Jason said, taking her hands in his. I'm asking if you want to build a life together, a new life, not the one we lost. I'm asking if you want to be a family, officially. Are you proposing? Claire asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jason smiled. Not yet. That will come when we're both ready. For now, I'm just asking if you want the same future I do. Claire leaned across the table and kissed him, a kiss full of promise and possibility. Yes, she whispered against his lips. Yes to all of it. They found a house with a wraparound porch and rooms filled with light. They painted the girls' bedrooms their favorite colors and planted a garden in the backyard. They hung photos on the walls, some from before, when Claire was still Eliza, and many more from after, creating a visual timeline of their extraordinary journey. On the one-year anniversary of moving into their new home, Jason took Claire to the botanical gardens where they had been married in their previous life. As the setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, he knelt on one knee beside the koi pond. I'm not asking you to be Eliza again, he said, holding up a ring that was nothing like her original wedding band. I'm asking you, Claire, the woman who fought her way back from the impossible, the mother who raised our daughter alone, the partner who had the courage to find us again, to marry me. Not because of who we were, but because of who we are now and who we can become together. Claire's answer was yes, of course. They were married in their backyard the following spring, with Zoe and Lily as their flower girls. The girls had insisted on matching dresses, telling everyone proudly that they were real sisters now. During the reception, as Jason and Claire swayed together on the dance floor, he noticed Lily talking animatedly to one of their neighbors, pointing at his phoenix tattoo. What do you think she's saying? He asked Claire. Claire smiled, watching their daughter. Probably the same thing she said to you in that grocery store. My mom has the same tattoo as my dad. Only this time, she knows exactly what it means. And what does it mean? Jason asked, spinning Claire gently under his arm.